Word on the street. FisMaz Show. What's the word on the street? Like, who got the beats that be killing the game? Who's up on the screen? Who playing who? What's the score on the sheet? FisMaz the Prince got him taking the seat. Got the legends giving us the 411. FisMaz from the 031. No hating sports and entertainment when we got it on and we're the only ones. And after all that action, never how we dripping high fashion. Drippy on some rich amnesty, baby stylists, soak up with passion. If it's giving us less, then we never settle. Make sure you pull up and bring all your medals. Sit back and relax, let's go. It's FisMaz bringing you the FisMaz Show. It's the FisMaz Show. It's the FisMaz Show. It's the FisMaz Show. It's the FisMaz Show.
Hey everyone, welcome to the FisMaz Show. It has been a bit of a while. Yeah, life has its ups and downs, and unfortunately for me, it's been one of those times where, from a creative point of view, from a personal point of view, just haven't been in a great space. And when you want to create a show and do amazing things, you always want to do them in the right manner, in the right headspace. So decided to take a small break. Of course, plenty going on in the world of sport, plenty going on when you think of football. And that's going to be my main focus for the next few episodes. It's going to be football, World Cup related. I'm going to try and get some really good guests that can really help to, I guess, keep elevating the show. I want to just say thank you to everyone who supports the show, everyone who follows the show. I want to say thank you to people who have been asking me, when are we getting the next episode of the FisMaz Show? It makes me feel good as someone who creates this specific type of content. It's not always easy because when you do this content, it can take a while for it to pick up, to keep going. Appreciate all the support. Appreciate all of you that not only subscribe to this particular channel, but follow the show across the different platforms. So I just want to take off my hat to all of you, and just want to give a big shout out with regards to that. Now, of course, you can see him sporting a new amazing Lotto jersey here. Yeah, of course, they are my new personal sponsors. I'm going to be having some fun with that and trying to bring some cool prizes for you guys too. I've got a competition I want to run, and I'll do so at the end of this particular show. So, yeah, I look across the World Cup at the moment, and I know with us at Supersport, we've dubbed it the World Cup of what the exact term? It's not the World Cup of surprises, something of that nature though, because it's been so hard to predict. I mean, who would have thought that Germany loses to Japan? Who would have thought, some of the really big results that have happened throughout the World Cup? I mean, who thinks that Belgium will go down in their game? Morocco, a good side, lots of really influential, good players. But when you stack it up and you think, you think that Belgium should be able to take care of business. But, in hindsight, after that, when you find out about what's going on in the Belgium camp, a lot of people may not be aware, but, Kevin De Bruyne and Thibaut Courtois, for example, they haven't spoken for years. There was a huge bust up, after De Bruyne's comments with regards to the fact that they can't win the World Cup. They're too old. Jan Vertonghen then came out and said, essentially, maybe we're too old and maybe that's why we can't score goals, which may have been seen as a jab towards the players that play in kind of midfield and in the forward areas. And apparently there was a massive fight, between De Bruyne, Vertonghen, Hazard, and Romelu Lukaku had to get involved in terms of obviously breaking that up. And I guess the interesting thing with regards to that, I think it speaks volumes with regards to team morale, and how a team can be destroyed in a moment, how a team can be destroyed by the fact that they're not pulling together anymore. A lot of people obviously say that a Belgium team is a team that has a lot of really good players. That doesn't really help if you don't get along, but you look at that side, it should be a side that still can really compete. I mean, Vertonghen, yes, he's obviously, is advanced in terms of years. Toby Alderweireld is advanced in terms of years. But, you got Thomas Meunier in there. You got Onana in there, who's a good young player. For me, crazy that Yuri Tillemans doesn't start for Belgium. I mean, Axel Witsel, he's been a really good servant for Belgian football. But you have to play Yuri Tillemans, in my opinion. And again, our opinions will differ with regards to that. So it's the same thing with England. Some people can see why Phil Foden is not playing. I think it's absolute madness. I think it's absolute madness. I'm going to put it on record because Phil Foden is unbelievable. But, back to Belgium. I've got a question for you guys, and I hope that you get involved and you'll send me your thoughts. Leave those comments below, especially if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, share your thoughts with regards to this because it's a question that I have for all the people who follow the game closely. When I look at Belgium, I ask myself a tough question. Has Roberto Martinez fumbled Belgium's golden generation? Has Roberto Martinez fumbled Belgium's golden generation? I mean, let's really look at his CV. He's been at Swansea. He's been at Wigan. He's been at Everton. Then he got the Belgium job. Arguably, you saying that that's their greatest ever era in terms of players, and they gave it to Roberto Martinez. And you know what? He speaks a great game. I think he's a great football mind. But I'm not convinced there. I'm not convinced. I think an example of that, I look at also just the fact that Eden Hazard hasn't been dropped. He hasn't really done much in the last few years. It takes, PG-13 right now. It takes big balls for a manager to be able to make such a call. And many Belgian fans, I'm sure, will be saying he has not heeded to that call. So, yeah, interesting with regards to how things are going with regards to the World Cup. I mean, Brazil, 2 from 2. That's my prediction. Not even my prediction. That's the team I've always kind of just followed at the World Cup. I used to follow England, and then, I decided I needed to go to greener pastures. Yeah, and it's not because you almost said something controversial. Let me keep quiet. But, yeah, Brazil looking really good. I think it will be really good for them to have qualified. Having Neymar back in the round of 16 and the knockout stages, it will be a massive boost. You saw how heavily they missed him. I was surprised that Tite played Fred. Fred has got nudes on everyone, clearly, because I don't see it. Maybe you guys see it. But yeah, how he plays ahead of Bruno Gomes is beyond me. But nonetheless, 2 from 2. Portugal also advanced. And it's good to see the big sides getting involved because people want to see the big sides going far in the World Cup. But yeah, the major focus for today's episode is around Andre Onana and the Cameroon team, and I guess the saga that's gone on there. Because Onana was obviously dropped for their last game, 3-3 in the end against South Korea. And a lot of people are saying that if he was playing, he would have kept out some of those goals. And hindsight's a beautiful thing. But yeah, Andre Onana is a top goalkeeper. There's a reason why he's been at Barcelona. There's a reason why he's been at Ajax Amsterdam, who are a club that knows how to see talent. And of course now at Inter Milan, after obviously going through that ban with regards to obviously having an issue around the doping test. So yeah, that's what I want to speak about. And I've got a journalist who's going to be joining me from Cameroon just to help me dissect this particular topic because it is one of the most heated ones, and it's the story of the World Cup. We saw it with France in 2010. We saw it, with Nigeria in previous World Cups. Sometimes there's also those pay disputes, but it's not an African problem in this particular sort of thing with regards to disputes between coaches and players. It's a problem that we've seen all around the world. So let's get to it. Let's get to that. And I hope that this will shed some light and also add value to all of you as African football fans. I do have a special guest today. He's going to be breaking it down for us with regards to the Andre Onana issue and potentially what's happening inside the Cameroon camp. And I've got my friend Giovanni who's joining me now. Giovanni, how are you, brother?
I'm good, and you?
No, all right, man. I mean, I know a lot of my listeners and viewers won't know who you are, where you come from. Maybe just give us a bit of a background. I know you obviously a journalist that side. Maybe just let us know, exactly who you are.
Yeah, I'm Giovanni Wanneh, football writer based in Cameroon.
Yeah, I mean, Giovanni, I reached out to you when the story broke around Andre Onana, a player who I've got a lot of admiration for. I've been following him since, he was at Ajax Amsterdam. Of course, he was at Barcelona before that, but a player of immense pedigree. And when a player of that pedigree clashes with a coach and an African football legend like Rigobert Song, it's always going to make news.
Yeah, definitely. It's always going to make news, and talk about the timing as well. it's just not the best time to have this clash in the World Cup. After the first game, the second game, we're expecting to pick up a victory against Serbia, and it just came minutes before the game. So minutes is not as though we knew before the eve or at the eve of the game that this sort of rumble is going to occur. But then it came in some minutes before the game, and it's not healthy for African football. Neither is it for Cameroon football. Cameroon, by the way, has always not been far from such controversy. If it's not one thing, is the other at the level of the World Cup finals. Rigobert Song, Samuel Eto'o. There in South Africa, you can remember the squabble they had over the captaincy issue. So now it's just terrible. And from a Cameroonian perspective, it's not how we wish that fans across the world remember Cameroon for.
Yeah, and I mean the timing. I mean, you look at it. There was a lot of euphoria around African football at that particular stage because, we had seen Morocco winning, and then potentially, we were looking at Cameroon doing the same, followed by Senegal, and then all our sides who are out there competing, really putting up their hands. I mean, on paper, you'd argue that the teams that are there representing Africa are some of the strongest that we've had in a really long time.
Yeah, definitely. Cameroon, take nothing away from Cameroon. They are playing in their eighth World Cup finals, and that's the most of any African country. And like you said, Africa has sent out the best. Tunisia, this is their sixth finals. Morocco, this is their sixth finals. Senegal, their third, and Ghana, their fourth. So Cameroon was one of those teams that the African continent, I should say, was looking at and thinking, okay, from the group, it's not the easiest of all groups, but with the achievements Cameroon has had, ending, this year's AFCON at third position, not the worst of anyways, and the caliber of players and Onana inclusive as well. We're looking at Cameroon probably to go and do a great thing in Qatar, but then with such news before the second game, and take nothing away from the lads, they did come to the fore, played as though nothing happened, but as a sports person, you have to know that when one person is taken out of the group, it has to affect the group. It's going to always affect the group adversely. Though these boys are professionals and always want to do their jobs, it's going to always adversely affect the group. And it could be seen from the way Davis Epasi, the second choice goalkeeper, was between the sticks yesterday. I mean, he conceded 3 goals, and one of those goals were avoidable, if not all the 3. He came into the tournament as a second choice, and there's that dynamic when you enter the competition as a second choice, especially as a goalkeeper. As a player, it's a whole different thing, but as a goalkeeper, you know that until the first man picks up an injury, and especially when you're back up to somebody like Onana, who has been injury-free for such a long time and performing at a very high level, and you're playing in Saudi Arabia in Abha, you don't expect to come into the second game of the World Cup under such circumstances. So Epasi has received a lot of stick back at home, but some of us think that it's not entirely down to him. Though he's a professional and he has to come in and do a job, it's not entirely down to him. There was this burst of emotions about seeing his very cool friend Andrew Onana leave the camp in the way he did after exchange hotly heated debate with Coach Rigobert Song. By the way, the main reasons for this, I'm just going to come clean, is as a result of a selection brawl. We are made to understand that before the game against Serbia, there's a certain type of way Andrew Onana thought they could approach the game. And, you can forgive him because he plays at a very high level and he reads the game so well. He's one of the best out there in the world. So he was trying to, give his take on how Coach Rigobert Song could approach the game and the starting 11 with which he could approach the game and sort of pick up a win against, because he wasn't entirely that satisfied when Cameroon played against Switzerland. And it showed, because Andrew Onana he's not just playing for the country, he's playing for his name as well. He's a top goalkeeper and he doesn't like conceding. He doesn't like, go up and down defeat. So that's why he had to come out clear and tell the coach, okay, listen, we have to play in some sort of way if we expect to win this game. And didn't go down well with Coach Rigobert Song, and together with the Cameroon Football Federation, they had to sanction him. He had his air ticket already yesterday, like I told you prior to the program. He had an air ticket yesterday to leave, but because of the fact that social media went agog, like what's happening in the camp, he had to just stay down low. He slept in Qatar for one night, and this morning I can confirm that Andrew Onana is on his way to Italy, where he's going to join his club side Internazionale to continue training before the season restarts.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy when you really think about it. And again, would it be nice to be a fly on the wall to hear how that conversation would have transpired, and I guess the type of tone Andre Onana would have taken towards Coach Rigobert Song for him to perhaps take offense. I don't think it's unheard of that players who are considered senior players or top players can approach a coach and say, Coach, hey, I think we could approach it in this manner or that manner. But I wonder if it's not how he approached it that perhaps sets off those fireworks, or if Rigobert Song as the coach does not want to hear anything from his players with regards to selection. I know there was a rumor that when the story initially broke, there was an issue with that. They were saying that the player didn't want to change his style of play. So we can confirm here on the show that the reason for that was a clash around selection. Did you hear anything with regards to that particular approach and how they exchanged those words?
Listen, Andre Onana has been first choice since Rigobert Song made his way into the helm as the head coach of the Indomitable Lions. That was late in March. He's been first choice. His position has never come under threat. Coach Rigobert Song, who, by the way, is a legend in our country, has had 137 appearances as a player and captained the side for such a very long time. In fact, he played 3 FIFA World Cups. So talk about experience. This is someone who has a massive football brain, and he's been to the highest level as well. So, but then it's never a wrong thing for a player, especially a senior player like Andre Onana, depending too on his tone. Because believe you me, Andre Onana is someone who is very, very confident, and probably some people mistake his confidence for cockiness. So they think he's this proud, cocky sort of guy, but that's not the truth. Andre Onana is well grown. He's a respectable person, but just the way he carries himself around, just that aura around himself, he knows he's a top class goalkeeper. He knows he's one of the best out there. So that's different. That's quite different from being arrogant at all. So I think Coach Rigobert Song should know that that's the way. That's the person of Andre Onana. Even at top side, I'd argue that that's the way he carries himself around. And it's true that probably his tone might have not been the best. But listen, this is the national selection. Some things happen in the dressing room, and it stays between the coach and the players, and they shake hands later on, and they go about their duties differently, especially given the fact that this is not club football, or this is not a one-man's affair, when you can just go ahead and take decisions that way. You take a decision. Cameroon is over 26 million people. You're taking a decision for over 26 million people. I do not want to put a foot wrong. And so many people already, Rigobert Song is coming under huge backlash already, especially from some fans here back at home, who think that it is because of his decision that Cameroon couldn't win against Serbia. Because against Serbia, we showed that we could score the goals, but then some goals were avoidable. So he's put himself in a situation whereby he's that guy who made Cameroon not to, win against Serbia, which is never a good way to put yourself in, especially when you come in as a country legend.
Again, I look at it and I think to myself, you mentioned something very important there. A lot of times, and things happen in the change room. There's that exchange of words. There's that heated moment. Were you surprised that it got to this level, that an argument couldn't have been kept in-house, and potentially you see a coach, a player like Onana maybe going to the bench or sitting out a game, and then things working out from there? Number one. Number two, what was the involvement of Samuel Eto'o in this entire thing? Was he involved at all? Was he part of the decision making to get Onana on that plane and ship him out?
Samuel Eto'o has been the FIFA boss from the very onset, and he's never been away from this team. Some people like him for that. Some people do not at all, because some people think he's interfering with the team just too much. He's trained with this team, in fact, on 2 occasions before games. And some people didn't come out down good for some people who think that he's getting too involved, and he would have decided to be the coach by himself if he wanted to be that involved with the national team. But listen, hey, this is someone who's got a real passion for the game. This is someone who equally has a massive knowledge of the game. In fact, arguably one of Africa's finest ever. But then getting involved in the team in such a manner equally could turn some players off. Some players do not feel comfortable at all with Eto'o being in their midst. And there are some people with the school of thought that Samuel Eto'o appointed his now his close friend, Rigobert Song, because he knew that this is somebody with whom he could work with. He didn't want an expatriate out of the African continent who could come in and say, okay, listen, President, this is my office and let me do my job. So this is something that Rigobert Song can never tell Samuel Eto'o, and he's very well contented with that. He eats with the players. He's always around with the players. And some players will be happy. Some players are not at all happy, but they cannot come out to say, Mr. President, we need some space, because he's the president and they don't want to get fired. So, there have been quite some differences in the dressing room. In fact, it's not just about Andrew Onana. Even before the top competition, the fact that one of our key players, Michael Gandhi, was left out of the final list of 26, spurred a lot of anger amongst people, and that is yet to be sorted. A clear reason for Michael Gandhi not being called up is yet to be sorted, because the player was not injured. We didn't hear of any disciplinary issues. He didn't just get the call up, and some people of the school of thought that, okay, this is Eto'o's list that he made, and he left out these players. So things are turning out quite tricky here. We hope that the Lions can, overturn the tides and try to get what they can against Brazil, though it will be very, very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that game against Brazil. I'm looking at the log as we stand here in Group G. 1 point from, 2 games so far. Last game against Brazil, who have a perfect record. Brazil could potentially change things up in terms of their squad. What are the chances of that? And number 2, how big an influence could Vincent Aboubakar have in that game? Should he play? Should he go with the 2 strikers with Choupo-Moting as well? What's the general consensus? Because a lot of people I've been seeing on social media have been asking, how is Vincent Aboubakar not in the team?
And they have all the rights to ask that question. Prior to the tournament, Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting got on a hot red form in his club side, Bayern Munich, and he was firing from all cylinders. He scored 11 goals in 16 games as an out-and-out forward. So people and fans around thought that, okay, if this guy could replace Robert Lewandowski at Bayern Munich and scoring the goals in the way he did at a center forward role, okay, what does Vincent Aboubakar has to offer? Because mind you that since Rigobert Song took over in March, Vincent Aboubakar, that his goal against Serbia was his first goal since Rigobert Song took charge. And people were like, okay, since this guy hasn't been scoring, why not give somebody who's been scoring the chance? And that's Choupo-Moting, and he's been doing so in the center forward role. Choupo-Moting is not the youngest player we have around the continent any longer. He's 33 years of age, so you cannot push him down the wings to take out a player like Bram Bemo, who plays for Brentford, and is one of the stars in the English Premier League. And equally, a player like Karl Toko Ekambi, who plays his club football for Lyon, and he's been doing wonderful things for the Indomitable Lions since the Africa Cup of Nations, where he was the second highest goal scorer with 5 goals. So you could just try Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting right down the middle and keep Aboubakar for a while, since he's not been an inspiring figure. And what does that do to the armband? You have to then move the armband from Aboubakar to Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting as well. But another school of thought, I inclusive, did think that Aboubakar could accommodate Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting up top, and we could go with a 3-5-2 formation. Unfortunately, Rigobert Song didn't see it that way, but he tried it against Serbia, bringing on Aboubakar and keeping on Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting, and we saw the magic Aboubakar did. His goal is a goal of the tournament contender, though still very early days in the tournament, checking inside and lobbing past Milinkovic-Savic, the goalkeeper, was just pure art, and the whole continent and the world, of course, acclaimed that goal. So I do think that he could try it against Brazil as well. Brazil, we do know that they are through to the next round, but hey, listen, this is the Seleção, 5-time winners of the World Cup. They wouldn't want to lose a game, was still against an African opponent at this stage. They want to have a clean sweep and go through the next round. It's true that they don't have their marksman Neymar, who is out injured, and he would not be playing that game due to an ankle injury, but then they want to impress at every given opportunity. So I think it's going to be a really, really tough game, but do not write off the Indomitable Lions, especially when it comes to this fixture. Mind you that on the way to the 2000 Olympic gold medal, Cameroon beat Brazil, and the 2003 Confederations Cup, Cameroon beat Brazil at the level of the group stages as well, and nearly went all the way when they attained the finals of that competition, only to be beaten by France. So I do think that it's a game in our hands. But then this is where the solidity or the solemn nature of the group would have counted, because now the group is not solemn at all, despite the fact that, like I earlier told you, that some players are just going to say, okay, let's be professionals and finish this competition. But the fact that you had someone as a goalkeeper, as a friend, walking around, and the next day he's out of camp just like that in the tap of a finger, it's always going to affect you as a human being, despite trying to be a professional. So I do think that the absence of Andre Onana is going to affect Cameroon in that game against Brazil. But let's see what that brings forth. But Cameroon has a little history against Brazil, and fans out there will be hoping that they can keep that.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how it does actually go and how Brazil and Cameroon do go in that particular game. Yeah, Giovanni, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I think you've shed some light with regards to a key talking points around the continent, around the world about Andre Onana. Abubakar is another topic that has been hot. The plan is simple. Cameroon have to win against Brazil. Can they do it? Time will tell. I want you to be a happy man. So I'm hoping that for Cameroon's sake, for Africa's sake, you can have a smile on your face.
Thank you very much. I'm hoping too that we do get the win against Brazil and keep all the shenanigans behind us. Hopefully the lads can show up.
All right, all the best for that. And again, thank you for your time. And it has been a pleasure to have you on the FisMaz Show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's a wrap for this episode of the FisMaz Show. Lots to think about with regards to Andre Onana and I guess the sort of impact it could have on Cameroon. They have to deliver against Brazil. There's no question about that. And a second choice keeper who's nowhere near the level of Andre Onana, I guess that's a talking point on its own. You know, Giovanni mentioned there that he thinks that, you know, all three of the goals they conceded against South Korea were avoidable. But yeah, football's a strange thing, eh? Football's a strange thing. I mentioned South Korea. It's actually Serbia they played against. I'm drifting. So you forgive me for that. Obviously, Serbia was the team that they played against. When I was speaking of South Korea, I was thinking about, of course, the Ghana game. So yeah, you'll forgive me for that era early on in the show. Yeah, no, thank you for tuning in, guys. I really hope that we can continue to bring you more content over this World Cup. It will be a bit of a busy time, but we're looking to get to 20 episodes, round up the season, and then say goodbye in style and let you guys enjoy your festive season. So we appreciate your support. I did mention at the top of the show that I would be running a small competition. I'll be doing exactly that. Yeah, giving away a pair of football boots. That's what I'm going to be doing. A pair of Lotto football boots. The question's a simple one. Well, you're wondering what it is, huh? But the question is, in 2006, which African player scored with a pair of Lotto boots and is known for his amazing dance moves? Which player from Africa, I'm not going to say which country because it will be easy then, which player from Africa scored in wearing Lotto boots and is known for his amazing dance moves? Hit me up. Go to my Instagram. My name is FisMaz 007. FisMaz 007. DM me the name. DM me the name. If you get it right, you could win yourself a pair of Lotto football boots. If you're not a football player, I could be nice and maybe change that football boot to a sneaker. But that's what you got to do. And we will pick randomly. I'll share the process with you to make sure that everyone knows that it's fair. But yeah, that's been a great episode, and I hope it shed some light for all our African football fans with regards to how things will go going forward for Cameroon and our other African teams. So, yep, it's a wrap. FisMaz signing out.